From the diary of Estelle M. Irving Phillips, submitted by her daughter, Dorothy McKay. June 1931. I had written to several resorts and ranches here in Idaho to find out their rates, and if we could get work for the summer, so Bob and I went up to Maxon, which is on the way to West Yellowstone and the park. I had never been up there before. The beautiful hills and mountains captured me at once, and I know we'll never escape from their spell now. The river runs right by the inn, and the pines all around make it very lovely. We decided to look around a bit, and went back to the train at Trude. We rode for a few miles and got off at Big Springs. While we were waiting for the train to return from West Yellowstone, the section foreman, a Mr. Pabst, took us in his car over to the Big Springs Inn, and thereby hangs a long, long story. We rode down a lane about a quarter of a mile, and then came to the inn and the springs. The inn was a big rambling building of logs and weather-stained lumber. There were about 15 cabins in the flat to the back and side of the inn. A pine-covered hill rose behind the inn to the east, and from beneath this hill, or rather range of hills, poured and bubbled the sparkling water of the Big Springs which form the headwaters of the North Fork of the mighty Snake River. How beautiful and peaceful this lovely spot, and its memory will always be with me no matter where I go. I asked the lady of the inn, Mrs. Hanny, about her cabins, and she showed me the most adorable cabin made of peeled logs, with a screen porch on the front. Inside it, lovely green and tan linoleum on the floor and rustic bed and table, a small camp stove, camp chairs, and a green wall cupboard completed the furnishings. The rent was $12 a week, I'll admit, but worth it. We could also buy our groceries at the store of the inn. They served delicious home-cooked meals, but of course we couldn't afford to eat there. We took the train back to Pocatello, packed, and returned to Big Springs the latter part of June, 1931. The children surely loved it there, and begged to stay longer. There were a lot of people up there for the 4th of July holiday, and the folks at the inn were very busy. A few days later, Mrs. Hanny sent for me to come and help, as the woman she had working had to leave for the valley. That suited me fine, and I went over to the inn and washed the dishes and fixed vegetables and helped wait on tables for the rest of the summer. The children ate over at the inn, and I was paid $30 a month besides, so we did pretty well. We gave up our cabin, and they fixed us a room in the inn. I enjoyed the work and met some wonderful people, most of them from Salt Lake, Ogden, and this part of the country. We went to dances sometimes down at Pond's Resort and Mac's Inn, and had some good times. Everything was beautiful, and the fragrant pines seemed to stand guard over us all the time. I also met a queer little man, Rumpelstiltskin I call him to myself, though his name is John Sachs, a German who has been a soldier, and a little bit of everything in his time. He was about 5 feet tall, gray and grizzled, with a wild, snapping pair of blue eyes, and the longest arms, and the loudest voice one could imagine. He has a ranch up in that country and builds cabins, makes rustic furniture, etc. in between times. A very unique character, half mad, and filled with plenty of ideas of his own which he is not afraid to tell to the world or to any big 6-footer that happens to cross his path. He is possessor of the most beautiful police dog I have ever seen, called Luna. Queer little Johnny, but with a heart of gold after all. 1932 May. Johnny was building a house across the head of the springs, and I used to go over and gossip with him and tease him about getting married. He and I pretended we were going to get married someday when he got the roof on his house. At that, I think I could get along pretty well with Johnny. We have a lot in common. Our love for the mountains and solitude work, books, dogs, etc. His house will be a dream when it is finished, built of logs, with a fireplace and a bathroom and all the conveniences of town except perhaps electricity. It has a lovely setting but not enough room around it.